everyone, it's Sharana from Pay Your Weight, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Chi Season 2, Episode 3, Past Due. And so we quickly are brought back into a flashback into Ronnie's past, most importantly with Tracy, which I've been dying to kind of see what their dynamic was in their relationship. And so they're in love. Ronnie then got up and cooked early. I said, can I get me a man that's going to cook food for me and make sure I have my meal to go and cook for the kids too? I said, okay, Ronnie, I see you. So they're basically in love, okay? And Tracy's also trying to urge Ronnie, like, hey, why don't you go like try to find a job today? And she's like asking her, what do you have planned? And so we see that Ronnie is still having a hard time finding work, and also too trying to basically get acclimated back to regular life after serving in the military. And so we kind of see this interaction between him and Jason as Jason crosses over into the neighbor's yard with his basketball. And then the guy got real crook with Jason. I was like, sir, can you chill for a minute? But yes, Jason was disrespectful, talking about whatever. And he was like, you, yes, sir, or no, sir. And I was like, yeah, like that's the basics. Like what is going on with you? And so we see that Ronnie kind of gets into it like, hey, don't talk to my son like that. And then he grabs Jason's arm really hard, like, didn't I tell you don't be playing basketball? And then Jason's like, you're hurting me. And then he's like, you ain't my daddy. And I felt that because I didn't say it to I think I said that to my stepdad before. I know I ain't right, but yeah. So we see that this causes an issue in their relationship. Basically, she was just like, hey, I cannot deal with all of the baggage that comes with what you're going through and deal with me working and trying to take care of my son. So I think we need to take a couple of steps back. And so it's interesting of this conversation and everything that has been happening as this really kind of leads Ronnie into his downward spiral of becoming an alcoholic, and then also to, I guess eventually, going to drugs. And we saw that he was getting to that point prior to meeting Tracy, but it seems as though that their relationship is what actually held him together. And so it's very interesting to see like what their dynamic was before, and then coming back into where Ronnie is today when he's actually trying to get out of jail so he can go and figure out what is happening with Miss Ethel. So we also see an interaction between Emmett and Sonny. So Emmett is basically complaining and venting about what's happening with his baby mama, and then also too staying in his dad's place. And when he said that his dad's house was like living in an African village, I said, sir, why are you too much? So he's complaining because there ain't never no food in the house. People don't respect his stuff. Even when he tried to put his name on stuff, they still eat it. And so he's just having this whole thing. But I was so happy when Sonny was just like, a man that don't take care of his kids, like, you can't call yourself a man. And I was like, thank you. Finally, somebody telling him the truth, because he's so caught up in the fact that he has to pay child support, but he still can't see his son. But I love how both Emmett's dad and Sonny are trying to reinforce to him, like, hey, like, she is taking care of your children. As much as you hate her, that child wants for nothing. She's making sure that he's taken care of, and you need to do your part to make things right so you can be in your child's life. It's not just a financial thing. You need to also physically be there. So you got to play the game and do what you need to do to be able to see your son. And I think it's interesting because Emmett is speaking facts when he's talking about how the court system does try to keep men away from their children, but I think he also needs to recognize where he went wrong on his end, so then he can get that together and then finally kind of try to establish some type of relationship so he can remain in his child's life. And so we see during the course of this conversation that Sonny ends up passing out. He falls out. He's had a stroke. And so now it falls upon Emmett to basically run the shop, which he thinks is an easy task. But we quickly see that there's definitely more than to just cooking the food and telling people what to do. You have to deal with the customers. You have to make sure that everything is running and all the different parts are running right at the same time. And so we kind of see this. So we do see that Tiffany ends up showing up to his work, basically to ask him, can he give her money to take the baby to the dentist? And then so Emmett was like, hell no, get out. He's like, I'm already paying you child support. She was like, sir, you pay 1 month of child support. Like, that's not enough to like take care of him and make sure that you, like, I'm able to, like, pay for him to go to the doctor and stuff. And so he kind of thinks about it, and then he decides, he's like, hey, I'm gonna send you half of the money. And then she basically said, F you, because I'm just like, sir, you can't, like, curse her out and kick her out and then go back to being nice. But we see that he does try to make some type of effort, and we see towards the end of the episode that Emmett actually goes to see Tiffany to actually give her all of the money to take their son to the dentist. And then when she invited him in, I was like, y'all finna smash, especially when she said the baby ain't here. He was like, well, the baby ain't here, what am I doing here? So they get into this whole little argument, and then of course they start smashing. And I didn't see nobody using no protection, so you better hope that she don't end up pregnant with another kid, okay? Just think, and I just want you to just think a little bit better. But can we talk about this interaction with him and Brandon, though, at the beginning of the episode too, when he basically, Brandon sets up his, like, little taco truck and basically in front of Sonny's place, and he was just like, sir, please do not bring your cockroach thing up in here. He was like, this ain't no, actually, let me make sure I said this right. What did he call it? He called his truck a roach coach. Sorry. He said, don't be bringing this roach coach up in here. And so then Brandon gets upset, and then he was like, fine, I ain't got no permit. Don't nobody want me to make no money. I'm done. I just need Brandon to really, like, I understand that Brandon is going through a lot. He's learned about Ronnie basically almost about to possibly get out of jail. And the fact that, you know, Coogie's potential killer can be back on the streets and basically nothing's going to be done about it. But I really want Brandon not to give up so easily. He just gives up so easily, and it just makes me mad because he has so much promise, and he just needs to build that confidence and just really set out and focus on what needs to be done and get it done no matter what obstacle comes in the way. So we see that he has a conversation with his stepdad. He finds out that his mom has said that she's not coming back to Chicago, especially learning the news of Ronnie basically potentially being released. And so, you know, they talk about how she's probably been drinking again. And Brennan's like, don't think that you can hide it from me. I'm sure she's been drinking again. And then also to his stepdad says, I'm just going to stay here. Like, I ain't going down to where she at. Ain't nothing to do there. And so then Detective Cruz comes to the house. He's looking for Brandon's mom, but he doesn't find her. And then he asks Brandon, can he write a statement that will help keep Ronnie in jail? And so basically he curses him out. He's just like, there's enough men who are already in jail for things that they did not commit, but like the one person who actually confessed, and you know for a fact that he killed him, he's basically going to get out. And it's just like everything is just okay. So he basically curses Detective Cruz out. And Detective Cruz is already going through it because he knows that this is a potential possibility that Ronnie will get out of jail due to the lawyer that he has. And he's trying to make sure that he can do everything that he can to make sure that he stays where he needs to belong. And so Brandon gets this flyer in the mail, and so there's this competition where you can potentially win $5,000. It's a chef competition, but because he has not paid his student loans, none of us paid our student loans. I just had to have a whole conversation with Sally Mae, come up with some plan to raise this money. I don't know where I'm going to get it from so they can stop messing up my credit. So I felt his pain with that one. So he's kind of doubting himself, but in the meantime, he's come up with a little side hustle to help pay his bills. So he's basically going around doing hood funerals, okay? So they pay more than him, basically trying to find a place to work and sell tacos all day. So he roll up to the little pimp's funeral, and did you catch my man with the finger waves? Not only did he have his finger waves laid, it also said pimp in the back. I said, who's your stylist? Like, let me know. I said, y'all trying to do the dang old thing. But when the dude pays him, so he charged him $1,500 because now his burner has went out, and so he has to charge more money to be able to fix that. And so he gave him half the money in cash, and then he gave him a whole bag of weed to sell. I said, sir, you can't just pay somebody in weed. Like, who does that? So he goes to see his cousin. I miss his cousin. And so he's basically like, hey, can you sell this? He's like, yeah, I can definitely get like $800 for this, and then we'll be square on the truck. He was like, well, I got to pay my loans because of this. And he was just like, sir, like, how you going to pay them before you pay me? And then he kind of explained the competition, and he's like, but I'm probably ain't going to be able to do it, so you can probably just keep it. And he's like, sir, like, what are you talking about? Like, go spit that talk and go talk to them. Go figure this out. And so he finally goes to talk to the head person at the school, and he was about to give up, and then the dude was like, wait, we could make an exception for you. And I was like, Brandon, stop giving up so easily. So basically, he allows him to enter into the competition. Everything is good. And so Brandon is looking up on life again. He's feeling a little bit better. So I guess, let me see. I know I have one more thing about Brandon when it comes to him having an interaction with Kevin, but I just wanted to make sure that was pretty much it. So yeah, okay. So we can get into Brandon and segue into Kevin and Papa and them. So Kevin sees Brandon driving in the truck. He chases him down with the bike. And so then they're kind of having a conversation. And then he asks him, hey, like, can I read my statement to you? And so he's talking about how much he loved Cookie, how he looked at him like he was his son because he helped raise him. And so this is kind of making Kevin feel a certain type of way due to his situation with testifying. But he doesn't necessarily tell Brandon that they've come to him to testify about Ronnie. And so he basically tells him like, hey, like, thank you, man, for listening. I really appreciate that. You know, you have my number. If you want to come help out, I got you. So I like this little bond that they're starting to have. I hope that they can stay in contact with one another and have Brandon really take Kevin, you know, kind of up under his arms. Now, the interesting thing about Kevin throughout the course of this episode, and also too in the previous 2 episodes, is he's always reminded of how good he kind of has it in life. And Kevin doesn't really see it that way, but everyone else around him. And so we see at the beginning of the episode that he's basically going to the court to testify with his parents. And so as they're walking in, they see a young man who looks younger than Kevin in handcuffs. And so it's quickly reminding him like, hey, like, there are people younger than me who are already in this system, like in this lifestyle. And so that's one of the first instances that we see in the episode. So this guy, the social worker, comes to talk to them like, hey, like, I think it's so great that you guys have Kevin like testifying, you know, given all the consequences that most people like go through. And his parents like, hold up, wait a minute, like, what are you talking about? And so he basically kind of talks to him like, you know, some people can come and try to harm him or whatnot. The Lord only knows what he's told them. But after he has a conversation, his parents like, oh, hell no, we got to go get your stuff together. We're going home. And then we see that the lawyer actually paid the social worker to basically scare Kevin's parents from him testifying, which was absolutely crazy. So another instance where we see they've been doing this whole little candy sale, and Papa is really trying to get his little Papa K together. He's trying to go ahead and get his coin so he can get him a little flat screen TV because he can't be watching the gospel station all day, okay? And so he basically tells them like, this is stupid. Like, why are you doing this? It really, the math in this doesn't make sense because you're really making them more money than what you're getting for the flat screen. You could really just work the money up to buy your flat screen yourself because they're basically making a profit on you. And I was like, yo, where were friends like this when I was sitting up here doing all these dang on candy sales, cookie sales, everything? Like, he had a point. He probably was like, you didn't have to get all Rain Man on me. And so I love how the teacher comes to talk to Kevin like, hey, since you're so good at math and stuff, you need to be selling some candy and stop putting your friends down because you don't understand that some people don't have it as good as you do. So this is all that they have to really try to work towards something. And so this is another instance where Kevin is being reminded that he has a better life than what most people have. And so we see that him and Papa come with this whole little scheme. They're basically trying to figure out how to sell these candy bars. Papa about to pass out because he was doing the Daniel fast, and I felt him that last day. Whoo, you'd be like, Lord, I don't think I can take it anymore. So he was telling them how like, yo, everybody's gonna get out to church. I gotta go to church. And he was like, yo, let's sell these candies at church. And so when Daniel fast broke, they made all them little coins, okay? I thought that was absolutely hilarious watching that because literally you be plotting on what you about to eat. Like, what's your first meal, snack, candy? What is that going to be when you're done with your Daniel fast? So I really felt that, and I appreciate him helping him out and getting all their coins that they actually needed. But also too, another instance when Kevin is actually reminded as he has an interaction with Maisha. So when Papa and Kevin kind of come to his house, he sees that his bike that he gave Maisha is sitting outside, and so Papa basically tells him, you don't want to be riding dirty. Go figure out what this girl did to your bike for why she gave it back to you in the first place. So we find out that one of her cousins snitched, and basically her mom told her she had to go give the bike back. And so she told him that he had to bring her homework because she hadn't been in school. So we quickly find out that Maisha's mom has taken a new job. And so she has to stay home and basically sacrifice her schooling to take care of her kids so her mom can work another job to be able to support everyone. And so this is another instance where he's being reminded that, school is even a luxury that some people don't have. And so they kind of spend more time together. He kind of gets to know Maisha, and I'd be like, you know what? I want to see them together because they are just so darn cute, and I just love Maisha so dang on much. So I think that was pretty much what's going on with the kids in the course of all of this. So going back to kind of this whole investigation as to what is happening with Miss Ethel. So we saw Miss Ethel, y'all. She in bad shape. I didn't want to see Miss Ethel like that. So we see Detective Toussaint is basically going around trying to investigate all of this. And so she goes to Detective Cruz and interrupts him, as he would like to say, to kind of figure out who's a part of the 63rd Street mob. And they show him her Reggie and all his little affiliates and things like that. So she's going around the neighborhood. No one wants to speak to her because she's a cop, and she's trying to figure out what is going on. She sees all these Waterview Realty signs going up, and then she ends up talking to one of the people on the street, where she tells her there's this white lady that's been coming around and basically trying to offer people money to sell their homes. Everyone's tired of all of the violence, the home invasions, the robberies that are happening, so they want to escape, which leads to my theory that it's probably true that this is a whole scheme of doing the home invasions to make people want to sell their houses, so they can basically use this to build all these condominiums or gentrify their neighborhoods, which makes me think, like, does the woman that Jerica is working for, does she have something to do with this? I don't know yet, but I'm speculating that there's a lot more people that are implicated in this. So we kind of see all of that. Detective Cruz, he's still sweating it. We see him try to rough up Ronnie at the end. I was like, sir, it's like, you gonna rough this man up too? And especially telling him, I ain't gonna tell my lawyer that you tried to rough me up. I was like, Detective Cruz, get it together. You done already messed up, because we find out that Ronnie was actually double the limit. Inebriated with alcohol, on drugs, had drugs in the system. And so basically, when the lawyer, the better version of Annalise Keaton, okay, if she was a real person, this is what she would be. She's basically going and having meetings and basically saying, like, hey, we need to have this overturned. And not to keep in mind that this was Detective Cruz's CI. He basically, like, kind of caught up his own informant, and then also too, Kevin, the eyewitness that you guys have, is the one who actually shot Ronnie. So this don't make no sense. Why I even got this far? Like, what are you guys doing? And then when the judge was like, I gotta think about this, she did a little eye roll. I can't even do it, but she was like, bitch, like, basically, I know I'm gonna win. And so when she's basically telling Ronnie what happened, I thought it was so interesting, because he was like, thank you so much. I really feel like I have somebody on my side for once. She was like, hold up, one homie. What you mean on your side? Like, I was never on your side. Like, do you think that I like defending murderers and white supremacists? No. And I was like, girl, because I was really trying to figure out, like, what are you doing? Like, this is not the life that you want to live. How are you being blessed with all this mess that you're doing? So she was just like, I'm just trying to make partner at my firm, okay? So she was just like, look, you need to have a plan. Like, what are you going to do now that you're a free man? She's like, because you need structure. Like, you need something that is going to help you not go back to alcohol, not go back to drugs. And so then we kind of see this flashback as to how when Ronnie gets released, we see him kind of walking, and he stops in front of the store, and we kind of go flashback to how he kind of turned his life in the wrong direction after he has this argument with Tracy, and she breaks up with him. We kind of see him at another crossroads, deciding, like, now that he's a free man, like, is he going to finally get his life right? Because he also blames himself for what happened to Miss Ethel. Like, if he wasn't mixed up in all of this mess, like, she probably wouldn't even be in her predicament. And so he kind of is at a crossroads, and we kind of see both versions of him in the past and at the present. And we think that he's going to go back into that store and get, some liquor and then basically turn back to drugs. But he decides to move forward. And I was just like, Ronnie, like, you feel real comfortable going back into this whole, like, place, like, walking around like people don't know that you didn't kill this little boy and you didn't got off on it? Like, do you really think that is smart? I don't think it's smart. You should have took your behind to the hospital to go see Miss Ethel, because I was really confused as to what you were doing. But it looks like Ronnie's going to be headed in the right direction. I'm not sure. But I think overall, I think this is still a very great episode. I love them showcasing, really going into, the consequences of, like, serving, PTSD, how we treat our veterans when they come home. Also, too, kind of the crookedness of the legal system, how this woman is able to get these people off after he's basically confessed to murder. I mean, kind of what these officers go through as well, because they know that they're doing wrong, but they have to kind of follow these rules, even though all the other people don't, and there's no consequences for it. And so I think it'd be really interesting to kind of see how this season continues to shape out, to see how everyone's kind of intertwined and brought back, you know, kind of into each other's lives, kind of with everything that's happening in the community. So those are pretty much my quick thoughts. Not really quick thoughts because it's a long video. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to get all my points across. But those are my quick thoughts on The Chi Season 2, Episode 3, Past Due. As always, my name is Sharona from Para Weights. And if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell, and I will see you soon.